The stars stretched and twisted outside the viewport as the USS Horizon slowed from faster-than-light travel. Ambassador Daniel Harris watched as the massive space station came into view. The Galactic Confederation's central hub was a marvel of engineering, a rotating wheel of metal and light that housed representatives from 27 alien species. "Magnificent, isn't it?" Daniel said quietly. At 53 years old, with salt and pepper hair and eyes that had seen more diplomatic crises than most, he had been chosen to represent all of humanity in this historic moment. "Captain Elizabeth?" Mercer stood beside him on the bridge, her uniform crisp and her posture perfect. "Yes, sir, though I'd feel better if they weren't scanning us so intensely." Elizabeth had voiced concerns throughout their journey. Why did the Confederation insist they come with just one ship? Why were they being directed to approach from this specific vector? Her military instincts had been on high alert since they'd received the invitation. "Standard procedure, Captain," Dr. Alan Palmer said as he joined them. The xenolinguist was studying data on his tablet, though I must admit these scan patterns don't match what they described in their communications. The USS Horizon was humanity's crown jewel, a diplomatic vessel built specifically for first contact scenarios. Its sleek design housed comfortable quarters for the delegation, advanced laboratories, and state-of-the-art defensive systems. What the Confederation didn't know was that its technological capabilities were deliberately understated. "We're being hailed," said Lieutenant Paul Martinez from his communications station. "On screen," Elizabeth ordered. The view screen flickered to life, revealing a being with mottled blue skin and 4 eyes arranged in a diamond pattern. "USS Horizon, this is docking control. Proceed to Bay 17 following the transmitted coordinates. Deviations will not be tolerated." "Understood, docking control." "We're following your guidance," Elizabeth replied. When the transmission ended, she turned to Daniel. "Is it just me? Or was that less friendly than our previous communications?" Daniel frowned. "I noticed that too. Let's stay alert." Dr. Palmer was still analyzing data. "Ambassador, I've been comparing their language patterns with our previous exchanges. There's a subtle shift in tone and formality. They're using more imperative structures and fewer diplomatic courtesies." Daniel nodded. "Keep monitoring. It might just be a different communications officer." The truth was that Earth had known about the Galactic Confederation for decades. The official story was that humans had only recently detected alien communications and developed faster-than-light travel in response. In reality, Earth had been quietly monitoring the Confederation, building up its defenses and preparing for this moment while appearing to be technological newcomers. As the Horizon approached the docking bay, Daniel went to his quarters to prepare. He opened a small case and removed a simple golden pin in the shape of Earth's continents. It was both a symbol of his authority and something much more important, a quantum-linked emergency beacon. One press would alert Earth to trouble. "Danny," his personal communication screen showed his wife Lisa's face. Despite the countless light years between them, the special quantum communication system made her appear as if she were in the next room. "Hey, honey," he said with a smile. "Just about to dock. How are you feeling?" she asked. "Like I'm carrying the weight of Earth on my shoulders," he admitted. "But ready." Lisa's eyes were worried. "The president called again. She wanted me to remind you that Protocol Phoenix is ready if needed." Daniel nodded seriously. Protocol Phoenix was Earth's contingency plan, one they hoped never to use. "Let's hope for the best. I should have good news when I call tomorrow." After saying goodbye, Daniel finished dressing in his formal diplomatic attire. The navy blue suit was tailored perfectly, with the Earth emblem visible on the breast pocket. He looked every inch the distinguished ambassador, though few would guess he had once been a decorated military strategist before turning to diplomacy. The ship shuddered slightly as it docked. Daniel made his way back to the main deck where Elizabeth and Dr. Palmer waited with 4 security officers and 2 other diplomats. "Remember," Daniel addressed the group, "we represent all of humanity today. Our goal is peaceful admission to the Confederation. We follow their protocols but stay alert." The airlock cycled open to reveal 3 aliens waiting to greet them. In the center stood a tall, slender being with iridescent scales and elongated limbs, a Talaxian, the species that had founded the Confederation millennia ago. Ambassador Harris, the Talaxian, spoke in perfect English. "I am Coordinator Selmarin. Welcome to the Central Hub." Daniel stepped forward with a respectful bow. "Thank you, Coordinator. We are honored to be here." As the delegation moved through the station's wide corridors, Daniel noticed the curious and sometimes hostile stares from other aliens. The station was a marvel of technology far beyond what Earth officially possessed. Transparent aluminum, viewports, gravity manipulation, and beings of all shapes and sizes moving with purpose. "The Grand Assembly is eager to meet you," Selmarin said. "Your arrival has generated much discussion." "I hope productive discussion," Daniel replied diplomatically. Dr. Palmer moved closer to Daniel and spoke quietly. "Ambassador, I'm picking up some unusual chatter on my translator. Several species are using what appear to be coded terms when referring to us." Before Daniel could respond, they turned a corner and entered a vast chamber. The Grand Assembly Hall was a massive amphitheater, with hundreds of delegates from across the galaxy. A hush fell as the human delegation entered. Elizabeth leaned in. "Sir, I don't like this. Security formation is too tight around us. This doesn't feel like a welcome." Daniel nodded slightly. He had noticed the same thing. The security escorts had positioned themselves in a way that subtly blocked any quick exit. At the center of the chamber stood a raised platform, where a group of aliens representing what appeared to be a leadership council waited. Among them, Daniel noticed a large gray-skinned being with prominent bone ridges and military posture. A Vorn, known from intelligence briefings to be one of the more aggressive species. "Humans of Earth," announced a tall, spindly alien with multiple eyes that Daniel recognized as the High Arbiter Claxtier. "You have been summoned to address serious concerns before the Confederation proceeds with any diplomatic relations." Daniel stepped forward confidently. "High Arbiter, we came in peace to establish friendship between Earth and the Confederation. What concerns do you wish to address?" The Vorn representative stepped forward, eyes narrowed. "Ambassador Harris, you stand accused of concealing Earth's true intentions and military capabilities from the Confederation. We have evidence that your planet has been preparing for aggressive expansion." Murmurs rippled through the assembly. Daniel maintained his composure despite his rising alarm. This was not the welcoming ceremony they had been promised. "General Vexnor, these accusations are unfounded. Earth seeks only peaceful cooperation," Daniel replied firmly. The High Arbiter raised a hand for silence. "The Confederation Security Council has reviewed evidence submitted by the Vorn Intelligence Directorate. This assembly will now witness this evidence before proceeding." A holographic display appeared in the center of the chamber, showing what appeared to be massive human warfleets under construction. Daniel immediately recognized the images as fabrications. "These are false," he stated clearly. "Earth possesses no such fleet." Elizabeth tried to move forward but was blocked by security. "This is a violation of diplomatic protocol. The ambassador must be allowed representation and time to prepare a defense." Daniel caught Elizabeth's eye and subtly touched the golden pin on his lapel. Something had gone terribly wrong, and Earth needed to know. As the false evidence continued to play and the chamber grew more hostile, Daniel realized with growing dread that this wasn't a diplomatic meeting. It was a trap. The Grand Assembly chamber grew louder as more false evidence was presented against humanity. Ambassador Daniel Harris stood firm despite the growing hostility around him. Captain Elizabeth Mercer and Dr. Alan Palmer exchanged worried glances as their security team was subtly pushed farther back by alien guards. "These accusations are fabricated," Daniel stated clearly, his voice carrying across the chamber. "Earth has no secret war fleet. We came in peace." High Arbiter Claxtier raised all four of his spindly arms. "The evidence speaks for itself, Ambassador. The Confederation has monitored your world for years. Your rapid technological advancement concerns many member species." General Vexnor of the Vorn stepped forward, his gray skin looking almost like stone in the harsh chamber lighting. "Humans developed faster than light travel mere decades after discovering nuclear fission. No other species has advanced so quickly. This is not natural progress but preparation for war. Daniel tried to approach the central platform but was blocked. We advanced quickly because it's in our nature to solve problems. We seek knowledge, not conquest. Commander Gregory Mason, second in command of the USS Horizon, attempted to signal Captain Mercer from the back of the hall. When their eyes met, he discreetly tapped his communication device and shook his head. The message was clear. All communications were being jammed. On Earth, in a modest home outside of Portland, Lisa Harris watched her quantum communication screen with growing concern. The connection to her husband had been strong just minutes ago, but now showed only static. When the HFY emergency light on her special government terminal began flashing, her heart sank. She immediately reached for the secure phone. "This is Lisa Harris. Authorization code Bravo Echo 793. The beacon is active." Back in the Confederation chamber, the situation was deteriorating rapidly. What had begun as a diplomatic meeting had transformed into what seemed more like a trial. The Security Council moves to classify humans as a potential threat to galactic stability, announced a bulbous alien with multiple eye stalks. Dr. Palmer managed to inch closer to Daniel. "Ambassador," he whispered. "Something's very wrong. This isn't just xenophobia, it feels coordinated." Daniel nodded slightly. He had already reached the same conclusion. This was not a misunderstanding, but a carefully planned ambush. The question was why. Elizabeth was trying to reach their ship through her communication device without success, when she noticed a small, nervous-looking alien aide watching her from a service corridor. The aide made a subtle gesture for her to follow. "Dr. Palmer," Elizabeth whispered, "create a distraction. I may have found help." Dr. Palmer immediately began a loud argument with one of the alien security guards about diplomatic protocols, while Elizabeth slipped away. In the dimly lit service corridor, she found the aide trembling. "Human, Captain," the small green alien whispered. "I am Lith L of the Centauri Federation. What you are witnessing is not the will of the Confederation but a power grab. The Vorn have been planning this for cycles." "Planning what exactly?" Elizabeth asked urgently. "The militaristic factions fear human potential. They believe if they eliminate your ambassador and isolate Earth now, they can prevent humans from ever joining the Confederation. They have been manipulating evidence and bribing officials for months." In the main chamber, the situation was spiraling, out of control. General Vexnor had taken central position and was now addressing the assembly directly. "The human threat must be contained immediately. We propose immediate quarantine of Earth's solar system and the detention of all humans currently in Confederation space." Daniel tried once more to speak but was physically prevented from approaching the platform. "This is a violation of the very principles the Confederation claims to uphold. We demand proper representation." "The time for talks has passed, General," Vexnor snarled. "High Arbiter, call for the vote." The High Arbiter, who should have been neutral, seemed oddly compliant with the Vorn's demands. "The Security Council will now vote on the classification of humanity as a Level 1 threat species." Daniel watched in horror as the vote proceeded with remarkable speed. There was no debate, no consideration of evidence beyond what the Vorn had presented. Something was deeply wrong with the entire process. Dr. Palmer had managed to access his universal translator and was picking up private communications between some delegates. "They're talking about some kind of demonstration," he whispered to Daniel. "Something to ensure Earth's compliance." In the service corridor, Lithol was growing more agitated. "Captain, you must return to your ship immediately. The Vorn plan to make an example of your ambassador." "What do you mean, make an example?" Elizabeth demanded. In the ancient history of the Confederation, when a new species was deemed too dangerous, their representatives were removed. It hasn't happened in thousands of years, but General Vexnor has revived the old protocols. Elizabeth's blood ran cold. "They're going to execute him." When she rushed back into the chamber, the vote had concluded. The High Arbiter was making an announcement. By decision of the Security Council, humanity is classified as a Level 1 threat species. All human vessels are to be impounded. Earth's solar system is under quarantine until further notice. Daniel stepped forward, his voice commanding despite the dire situation. I formally protest this decision and demand communication with my government before any action is taken. General Vexnor smiled coldly. Ambassador Harris, you have been found guilty of concealing Earth's militaristic intentions. The old protocols are clear on how to deal with threatening species. A circular platform rose from the floor, surrounding Daniel and cutting him off from the rest of the human delegation. Elizabeth and Dr. Palmer tried to reach him but were restrained by security forces. What is the meaning of this? Daniel demanded, his composure finally cracking. The High Arbiter's voice was cold. For the safety of the Confederation, and as a message to Earth, this assembly invokes the ancient statute of preservation. Ambassador Daniel Harris, you are sentenced to immediate disintegration. A transparent energy field surrounded Daniel. Commander Mason and the security team drew their weapons but were quickly overpowered by Confederation forces. This is an act of war, Elizabeth shouted, struggling against her captors. Daniel stood tall inside the energy field. He understood now that this had been the plan all along. His execution would be used to intimidate Earth into submission. With calm dignity, he looked directly at the recording devices he knew would transmit his final moments to his homeworld. Earth will not bow to intimidation, he said clearly. Remember that we came in peace. General Vexnor activated a control on his wrist device. Let this be a lesson to all dangerous species who would upset the balance of power. The energy field around Daniel began to glow brighter. In his final moment, he pressed the golden earth pin on his lapel one last time. His last thought was of Lisa, and of the home he would never see again. The energy field flashed blindingly bright, and Ambassador Daniel Harris was gone. Miles beneath the Antarctic ice, President Laura Wilson stared at the screen in horror. The entire war room had fallen silent as they watched Ambassador Daniel Harris vanish in a flash of light. His final words echoed in the suddenly quiet chamber. Earth will not bow to intimidation. They executed him, Admiral Frank Donovan said, breaking the silence. His weathered face was grim. Just like that. No proper trial, no defense. President Wilson stood up, her eyes never leaving the screen. How long until the broadcast reaches the public channels? 20 minutes, Madam President, said Benjamin Cole, Director of Earth Intelligence Service. We intercepted it through our quantum network. Regular communication channels will receive it soon. And the crew of the Horizon? Being detained, according to our deep cover assets. The Confederation is placing them in protective custody while they prepare a blockade of our solar system. President Wilson took a deep breath. They think they have days before we can respond. General Vexnor stated their forces would be in position within 3 standard days. How wrong they are. She turned to the room of military and civilian leaders. Activate Phoenix Protocol. Now. The Antarctic Command Center burst into action. Officers rushed to their stations, security codes were exchanged, and the massive screen at the front of the room changed to display a map of the galaxy with hundreds of blinking lights. Benjamin looked at the president. Ma'am, once we do this, there's no going back. The Confederation will know our true capabilities. They executed our ambassador on false charges, Ben, Wilson replied firmly. They chose this path, not us. In a private office adjacent to the war room, Lisa Harris sat with her son, Jordan Harris. At 32, Jordan had followed in his father's earlier footsteps, becoming a military intelligence officer specializing in alien psychology. Both looked up as President Wilson entered. Lisa, Jordan, the president said gently. I'm so sorry. Daniel was a hero and a friend. Lisa wiped her tears. What happens now, Laura? Phoenix Protocol is being activated. Daniel's death will not go unanswered. Jordan stood up. I want to be part of the response team. I thought you might, Wilson replied. Report to Dr. Rivera. She needs your expertise with the targeting systems. Deep inside a hollowed-out asteroid in the Kuiper Belt, beyond Neptune's orbit, Dr. Nicole Rivera was already preparing. The massive hangar before her housed rows upon rows of sleek warships, vessels far more advanced than anything Earth had ever publicly acknowledged possessing. "Begin activation sequence," she ordered. Similar orders were being given in hidden bases throughout the solar system. The Phoenix Protocol had been established 15 years earlier, when Earth first detected signals from the Galactic Confederation. While publicly developing basic space technology and presenting the image of a newly spacefaring civilization, Earth had secretly been preparing for the possibility that first contact might not be peaceful. In orbit around Jupiter's moons, inside Mars's hollow mountains and hidden in the asteroid belt, Earth had built its true fleet. Using technology reverse-engineered from crashed alien ships and humanity's own rapid innovation, these vessels were equal to or superior to anything the Confederation possessed. "All ships reporting ready, Doctor," said her assistant. "Phase 1 of Phoenix Protocol complete." Dr. Rivera nodded. "Begin Phase 2. Throughout Confederation space, tiny quantum devices that had been secretly planted by Earth's deep cover operatives over the past decade began to activate. These devices, no larger than grains of sand, had been carried aboard trading vessels, hidden in diplomatic gifts and concealed in asteroid mining equipment. Each contained detailed maps of Confederation defense systems and precise coordinates for Earth's fleet to emerge from hyperspace. In the Antarctic Command Center, Admiral Donovan was briefing the assembled military leaders. "The Confederation believes we only have a handful of FTL-capable ships, all using their approved jump point network. They have no idea we developed our own hyperspace technology years ago. They're expecting us to take weeks to mount any kind of response if we can respond at all." He pointed to the galactic map. "We have 3,000 ships ready to deploy from hidden bases. Each ship carries quantum targeting data. We will emerge simultaneously at these 427 strategic locations throughout Confederation space." A young officer raised her hand. "Sir, are we declaring war on the entire Confederation?" "No, Lieutenant," Admiral Donovan replied firmly. "This is a precision operation. Our targets are military installations, defense grids, and the specific leaders responsible for Ambassador Harris's execution. Civilian targets are strictly off limits." In Dr. Rivera's asteroid base, Jordan Harris had arrived and was reviewing the targeting protocols. "These are incredibly precise," he noted. "We could take out entire planets if we wanted to." "But we won't," Dr. Rivera said firmly. "That's what makes us different from them. We're not seeking revenge or destruction. We're seeking justice." On Earth, people were just beginning to receive the news of their ambassador's execution. Shock and outrage spread across the planet. In homes, offices, and public spaces, humans watched the recording of Daniel Harris standing tall in his final moments. President Wilson addressed the world in a brief, solemn broadcast. "Citizens of Earth, today we witnessed an act of barbarism against our ambassador and our world. The Galactic Confederation, which claims to stand for peace and justice, has shown its true nature. Let me be clear. Earth will respond, not with blind rage, but with precision and purpose. Those responsible will face justice. The innocent will be spared. The galaxy will learn that humanity cannot be intimidated or eliminated." In orbit around Saturn, a massive vessel unlike any other in Earth's fleet prepared to join the operation. The USS Retribution, Earth's first true battleship, had been built in secret over the past decade. Captain Olivia Clark stood on its bridge, reviewing the final preparations. "All systems green, Captain," her first officer reported. "Quantum drives at full capacity." "Very good," she replied. "Our primary mission is extraction of the Horizon's crew. Secondary objective is capture of General Vexenor and the High Arbiter. Throughout the solar system, Earth's hidden fleet prepared to move. Ships that had been concealed in gas giant storms, inside hollow asteroids, and beneath the surfaces of moons powered up their engines. Soldiers and crew who had trained for years in complete secrecy took their positions. In the Antarctic Command Center, President Wilson gave the final authorization. "All ships, commence hyperspace jump on my mark." She paused, thinking of Daniel, Harris, and his sacrifice. 3, 2, 1. Mark. Across the solar system, 3,000 warships vanished into hyperspace tunnels. Unlike the Confederation's jump network, which required fixed entry and exit points, Earth's hyperspace technology allowed precise emergence at any coordinates. In the Confederation's central hub, General Vexnor was celebrating his victory with allies when an aide rushed in. "General, our long-range sensors are detecting unusual energy patterns throughout Confederation space." "What kind of patterns?" Vexnor asked dismissively. "Sir, they appear to be hyperspace tunnels, thousands of them, but they're not using our jump network." General Vexnor's celebration ended abruptly as alarms began to sound throughout the station. The first wave of Earth's retaliation had begun. The Galactic Confederation had never experienced anything like it. In a single moment, thousands of human warships appeared throughout Confederation space. They materialized next to defense stations, above military bases, beside communication hubs, and in orbit around the homeworlds of the species responsible for Ambassador Harris's execution. On the Confederation's central hub, panic spread quickly. Alarms blared through every corridor as the massive station's sensors detected 50 human vessels surrounding it. "This is impossible," General Vexnor shouted, staring at the tactical display. "They shouldn't have this capability." High Arbiter Claxtier trembled, all four of his eyes wide with fear. The humans were supposed to be newly spacefaring. Their technology was supposed to be primitive. Outside the station, the USS Retribution dropped out of hyperspace. Nearly twice the size of any Confederation warship, its black hull absorbed nearby light, making it look like a moving shadow against the stars. Captain Olivia Clark stood calmly on the bridge. "Open a channel to the station," she ordered. On the tactical display, hundreds of reports were coming in from across Confederation space. Human forces had disabled the Vorn defense grid in just 3 minutes. The militaristic Draxil fleet had been neutralized without a single ship being destroyed. Precision strikes had disabled their engines and weapons systems only. The central hub itself was now completely surrounded, its defense grid offline. Inside the hub, the holographic projector in the Grand Assembly Chamber activated. Captain Clark's image appeared, looking down at the panicking alien representatives. "This is Captain Olivia Clark of the Earth Defense Force. Your station is surrounded. Your defenses are disabled. We have taken similar actions throughout Confederation space. We are not here to start a war. We are here for justice." Her image was replaced by footage from the execution of Ambassador Harris. "You believed Earth would take days or weeks to respond if we could respond at all. You were wrong." In a secured section of the hub, the detained crew of the USS Horizon looked up as the door to their holding area suddenly melted away. Major E. Sophia Grant stood in the opening, her advanced combat suit making her look more machine than human. "Captain Mercer? Dr. Palmer? I'm Major Grant, Special Forces. We're here to bring you home." Captain Elizabeth Mercer stepped forward. "What's happening out there?" "Earth responded," Major Grant said simply. "All of Earth responded. We're extracting you while other teams secure the station." As they moved through the corridors, Dr. Palmer stared in amazement at the efficiency of the human soldiers. They disabled security systems with technology far beyond what the Confederation possessed and neutralized alien guards with precision stun weapons. "These aren't the weapons or tech we brought on the Horizon," he whispered to Elizabeth. "No," she replied. "This is what Earth was hiding all along." Back in the Grand Assembly Chamber, Jordan Harris had arrived with a team of soldiers. He wore a simple black uniform with no insignia, but his authority was clear as he walked directly to where General Vexnor was trying to escape. "General Vexnor," Jordan said calmly, "I believe you ordered the execution of our ambassador." "My father." The Vorn general reached for a concealed weapon, but found his arm frozen in place by an invisible force field. "Impossible," he snarled. "Your species doesn't have personal containment technology." "There are many things you don't know about us," Jordan replied. "For instance, we preferred justice over revenge." He nodded to his team, who placed specialized restraints on the alien general. "You will stand trial for what you've done. A real trial, with evidence and proper representation. Not the mockery of justice you gave my father." Throughout the Confederation, the same scene was playing out. Earth's forces captured strategic locations with minimal casualties. They disabled rather than destroyed enemy ships. They arrested specific leaders while leaving governmental structures intact. It was a display not just of overwhelming force, but of remarkable restraint. In the Vorn homeworld's capital city, Admiral Donovan personally led the team that secured their military headquarters. The Vorn commanders had activated their last resort planetary defense system, only to discover it had been secretly disabled hours earlier. "How?" demanded the Vorn Supreme Commander as he was placed in custody. "How did primitives like you accomplish this?" Admiral Donovan looked at him steadily. "We're not primitives. We just let you think we were. Earth has been watching the Confederation for 50 years. We've had faster-than-light capability for 3 decades. While you saw us as newcomers, we were studying your weaknesses, your technology, your tactics. On hundreds of worlds, billions of alien beings watched in shock as their news networks broadcast the same message from President Wilson. Citizens of the Galactic Confederation. Today, Earth has taken action against those who executed our ambassador, without just cause. Our response has been precise and measured. We have disabled military assets but avoided destruction where possible. We have detained those responsible but left your governments functioning. This is not an invasion. This is not conquest. This is justice." Back on the central hub, the remaining Confederation Council members had been gathered in the Grand Assembly chamber. Captain Clark and Jordan Harris stood before them. "The galaxy believed that executing our ambassador would cow humanity into submission," Jordan said. "Instead, it triggered a response we had prepared for decades, hoping never to use." A council member from a species known as the Alderians stood up. His crystalline body reflected the chamber's lights as he spoke. "Many of us objected to the execution, but the military factions overruled us. Some of us have suffered under their influence for generations." Other representatives nodded in agreement. The truth was becoming clear. The Vorn and their allies had dominated the Confederation through fear and manipulation for centuries. Many species actually welcomed the human intervention. In the detention area, High Arbiter Claxtier faced Dr. Palmer. "You must understand," the Arbiter pleaded. "I was following orders. The military council threatened my world if I didn't comply." Dr. Palmer studied the alien carefully. "That will be considered during your trial. A fair trial, unlike what you gave Ambassador Harris." On Earth, Lisa Harris received the news that the crew of the Horizon had been safely retrieved. The Confederation leadership responsible for her husband's death were in custody. Earth forces had secured strategic positions throughout the galaxy. "Your husband's sacrifice revealed the corruption at the heart of the Confederation," President Wilson told her. "And our response has shown the galaxy that humanity cannot be bullied or eliminated. We came in peace, but we were prepared for the worst." As the first day of Earth's operation ended, the full extent of the response became clear to the stunned galaxy. In less than 24 hours, humanity had completely upended the power structure that had ruled for thousands of years, and they had done it without destroying a single civilian target. 1 week after Earth's dramatic intervention, the Galactic Confederation gathered for a historic session. The Grand Assembly chamber looked very different now. Earth ships remained in position throughout Confederation space. Human security teams stood at key positions around the chamber, but there was no sense of occupation or oppression, instead a feeling of order restored. Ambassador Samantha Reed walked confidently to the center of the chamber. At 48 years old, she had been a respected diplomat on Earth and a close friend of Daniel Harris. Now she stood where he had been executed, representing humanity to a much-changed galaxy. "Representatives of the Galactic Confederation," she began, her voice clear and strong. 1 week ago, you witnessed the execution of Ambassador Harris and the response it triggered. Today we begin a new chapter. The aliens watched with mixed emotions: fear, respect, curiosity, and for many, relief. The Vorn's military dominance had been broken. Species that had been quietly oppressed for generations were speaking freely for the first time. Earth could have responded with destruction, Samantha continued. Our fleet had the capability to reduce your military installations to dust. Instead, we chose precision and restraint. We disabled rather than destroyed. We arrested rather than eliminated. We sought justice, not vengeance. In a special viewing area, Lisa Harris and her son Jordan watched the proceedings. Jordan had spent the past week interrogating General Vexnor and uncovering the full extent of the conspiracy that had led to his father's death. The Vorn and their allies had been manipulating Confederation politics for centuries, he had explained to President Wilson. They saw Earth as a threat to their control. They believed executing Dad would intimidate us into isolation. Now, as Samantha Reed laid out Earth's terms for peace, Jordan felt a complex mix of grief and pride. His father's death had exposed corruption that had harmed countless species across the galaxy. Earth proposes the following changes to Confederation governance, Samantha announced. First, a new justice system with transparent processes and proper representation for all accused. Second, equal representation for all member species, ending the tiered system that gave military powers greater influence. Third, a truth commission to address past abuses of power. An alien representative from the peaceful Endorian species rose from his seat. His slender blue form bowed slightly in respect before speaking. On behalf of the 17 species who have suffered under Vorn influence, we support these proposals. For too long, we have watched the principles of the Confederation be corrupted by those with military power. Perhaps it took an outside force, humans, to help us reclaim our founding ideals. Captain Elizabeth Mercer and Dr. Alan Palmer, now recovered from their ordeal, sat with the Earth delegation. They had spent days debriefing Earth intelligence on everything they had observed during their captivity. The most surprising thing, Elizabeth had reported, was how many ordinary Confederation citizens seemed relieved by our intervention. The Vorn rule was built on fear, not respect. Now they watched as the Confederation representatives voted overwhelmingly to accept Earth's proposals. The galaxy was changing before their eyes. On the Vorn homeworld, Admiral Donovan supervised the demilitarization process. Unlike traditional conquest throughout human history, Earth forces weren't dismantling the Vorn military entirely, only removing their ability to threaten other worlds. Your defense systems remain intact, he explained to the new Vorn civilian leadership. Your people are safe, but your offensive capabilities are being disabled. The days of Vorn military intimidation are over. A Vorn elder, her gray skin wrinkled with age, surprised the Admiral with her response. Many of us have waited generations for this day. The military caste has controlled our society as tightly as they controlled others. Perhaps now our scientists and artists can lead us again. Throughout Confederation space, similar scenes played out. Earth forces worked alongside representatives from formerly oppressed species to establish new security protocols. The changes were not imposed by human decree but developed through cooperation. In the Central Hub's Justice Center, the trial of General Vexnor and High Arbiter Claxtier proceeded with all the fairness and proper representation that Ambassador Harris had been denied. Evidence was presented openly. Defense advocates spoke without restriction. The proceedings were broadcast to all Confederation worlds. Dr. Palmer served as a cultural liaison during the trial. We want everyone to see the difference between real justice and the mockery that took Ambassador Harris's life, he explained to the alien legal team. In Earth's Antarctic Command Center, President Wilson met with her advisors to discuss the future. The massive display showed Earth ships still positioned throughout Confederation space, but many were preparing to return home. We've achieved our objectives, Admiral Donovan reported. The conspirators are facing justice. The Confederation's governance is being reformed. Most importantly, the galaxy now understands that humanity cannot be intimidated or eliminated. And what about our technological revelations? Benjamin Cole asked. We can't put that genie back in the bottle. President Wilson nodded. No, and we shouldn't try. The time for pretending to be less advanced is over. Earth will join the Confederation as an equal, with all our capabilities acknowledged. 1 month after the execution of Ambassador Harris, a solemn ceremony took place on Earth. Representatives from all 27 Confederation species gathered in Geneva for the official memorial service. It was the first time so many alien dignitaries had visited Earth. Lisa Harris stood tall as she accepted the highest honor the reformed Confederation could bestow on her husband. The crystalline memorial would be displayed both on Earth and in the central hub, a permanent reminder of how a single act of injustice had transformed a galaxy. Daniel believed in peaceful cooperation between all intelligent species, she said to the assembled dignitaries. He would be proud to see that his sacrifice ultimately led to a more just confederation. As the ceremony concluded, ships from dozens of worlds hovered in Earth's sky in a gesture of respect. They formed a pattern that, viewed from below, created the shape of Earth's continents, the same symbol Daniel Harris had worn as a pin over his heart. Ambassador Samantha Reed stood with Jordan Harris as they watched the display. "Your father went to the stars in peace," she said quietly, "and because of him there is now true peace among the stars." Jordan nodded, looking up at the alien ships. "The galaxy executed a human envoy thinking we were weak. Earth's retaliation was instant, but it wasn't just about power. It was about justice. That's the true strength of humanity." In the reformed Grand Assembly chamber on the central hub, a permanent memorial now stood where Ambassador Harris had been executed. Inscribed in the languages of all Confederation species were his final words, "Earth will not bow to intimidation," and below them a new line had been added, "Neither will justice." The stars twinkled peacefully in the Montana night sky as John Miller stepped onto his porch. The cool evening air felt good after a day of working on his small farm. John had moved here after 20 years in the Marines, looking for quiet and solitude. Tonight, that peace would end forever. A bright light cut across the sky, much too fast for a normal aircraft. John's military instincts kicked in immediately. He watched as the light slowed and descended toward the empty field about a mile from his property. "What in the world?" he muttered, grabbing his binoculars from inside the house. Through the lenses, he could see a sleek metal craft unlike anything built on Earth. It had smooth curves and glowed with a faint blue light. As a retired Marine, John had seen experimental aircraft before, but nothing like this. He reached for his phone and called the local sheriff. "Bill, something just landed in the Peterson field. You might want to come take a look." "Another weather balloon?" Sheriff Bill Rogers asked with a laugh. "No, sir. This is something else entirely." While waiting for the sheriff, John grabbed his hunting rifle. Not to use it, but because old habits died hard. 20 minutes later, the sheriff's car pulled up, alongside 2 black SUVs that John didn't recognize. Men in dark suits stepped out, speaking quietly into their radios. Government types, John thought. They got here awfully fast. In the field, the craft's side opened smoothly. 3 tall figures emerged. Even from a distance, John could tell they weren't human. Their bodies were too thin, their heads too large, and they moved with strange grace despite the Earth's gravity. The government agents approached cautiously. One held up some kind of device, possibly attempting communication. The tallest alien raised what appeared to be a similar object. That's when everything went wrong. A high-pitched whine filled the air, making John cover his ears in pain. The alien's device was emitting a blue light that pulsed rapidly. Later, experts would determine it was merely their translation equipment malfunctioning. But in that moment, it looked like a weapon powering up. One of the agents drew his gun. The alien device pulsed brighter. Someone fired a shot. Chaos erupted. The aliens retreated to their ship as agents opened fire. John watched in horror as bullets pinged off the ship's hull. The craft rose quickly, but not before a lucky shot hit something critical. Smoke poured from one side as it shot up into the night sky at impossible speed. Within hours, the field was swarming with military personnel. John found himself in a debriefing room at a hastily established base camp, telling his story to increasingly higher-ranking officers. "And you're certain they made no aggressive moves until our agents fired?" asked a stern-looking general. "None that I could see, sir," John replied. Their device was making that noise, but they hadn't pointed anything at our people. The general exchanged worried glances with his staff. 3 days later in Washington, D.C., Lisa Walsh was called into a classified meeting. As NASA's leading physicist, specializing in theoretical propulsion, she had been analyzing debris recovered from the Montana site. The room was filled with military brass and government officials, all wearing grim expressions. "Dr. Walsh, please tell us what you found," said National Security Advisor Richard Clark. Lisa stood and connected her tablet to the display screen. "The technology is unlike anything we've seen," she began, showing microscopic images of the recovered fragments. "The materials don't match any known elements on our periodic table. What's more concerning is this." She pulled up an analysis of radiation patterns from the debris. "These energy signatures suggest the craft wasn't just visiting Earth. It had been monitoring us, possibly for years. The communication system we recovered shows signs of quantum entanglement, allowing instant communication across vast distances." "How vast?" asked the president. "Potentially across the galaxy," Lisa replied. The room fell silent. "There's more," she continued. "We found data storage in one fragment. Most of it was damaged, but we managed to decode some information. It appears Earth is under observation by something called the Galactic Council, a federation of multiple alien species." She swiped to the next screen, showing a partial star map with Earth clearly marked and labeled with alien symbols. "We were classified as a developing world under containment protocol. And based on the fragments of messages we decoded, they're not happy about what happened in Montana." "Are we talking about an invasion?" the Secretary of Defense asked. "I don't know," Lisa admitted, "but I found references to something called pacification, scheduled to begin within 5 years." 1 week later, all major world leaders were secretly briefed about the situation. For the first time in human history, global rivals put aside their differences in the face of a common threat from beyond Earth. In the months that followed, strange phenomena were reported worldwide. Satellites detected unidentified objects at the edge of our solar system. Communications occasionally suffered unexplained interference. The world governments maintained public silence while secretly preparing. Lisa Walsh was given unlimited funding and a hidden facility beneath the Mojave Desert. Her team worked around the clock to understand and reverse engineer the alien technology. Progress came in small breakthroughs, until 18 months after the Montana incident, Lisa made a startling discovery. "The quantum communication network they use, it has a fundamental flaw," she explained to the Joint Chiefs of Staff. "They built it for efficiency, not security. We can listen in." "You're saying we can spy on aliens across the galaxy?" General Williams asked incredulously. "Not just listen," Lisa said with a thin smile. "Given time, we might be able to access their network, and what we're hearing isn't good. The Galactic Council views the Montana incident as an unprovoked attack. Some factions are pushing for immediate action against Earth." "What kind of action?" asked the Secretary of State. Lisa's expression darkened. "Based on the communications we've intercepted, pacification isn't just occupation. They plan to implement forced genetic modification of humans. They want to make us more manageable." The room erupted in angry voices. When order was finally restored, the president spoke. "How long do we have?" "Their nearest major fleet is 3 years from our solar system," Lisa replied. "But scout ships could arrive much sooner." "Then we have 3 years to prepare," the president said firmly. "Dr. Walsh, what do you need to develop defensive capabilities?" "More scientists, more resources, and access to every piece of advanced technology on the planet," she answered without hesitation. "You'll have it all," the president promised. "As of this moment, the Earth Defense Initiative begins." As Lisa left the meeting, she looked up at the night sky. The stars no longer seemed peaceful. Somewhere out there, a storm was gathering. Humanity had just entered the galactic stage, and their first performance had been a disaster. The clock was ticking. Earth had 3 years to prepare for a war against enemies with technology, thousands of years more advanced than their own. But they had one advantage the aliens hadn't counted on. Humans were very good at learning, adapting, and surviving against Impossible odds, and they had just begun to fight back. 5 years had passed since the Montana incident. The world had changed in ways few could have imagined. On the surface, daily life continued as normal. People went to work, children attended school, and politicians argued about taxes and health care. But beneath this normal facade, Earth was preparing for war. Deep under the Pacific Ocean, in a massive underwater facility known as the Trench, Commander Alan Carter stood before a viewport, gazing at humanity's secret fleet. 6 warships hung suspended in the enormous construction bay, their sleek hulls incorporating both human engineering and reverse-engineered alien technology. "Impressive, aren't they?" asked a voice behind him. Alan turned to see Lieutenant Kate Patel approaching. As his newly assigned executive officer, she had arrived at the Trench only yesterday. "The EDS Defiance," Alan said, pointing to the largest ship. "Our flagship. Construction finished last week." Kate stood beside him, her expression skeptical. "With all due respect, Commander, do you really think 6 ships can defend Earth against an enemy that controls most of the galaxy?" Alan smiled grimly. "No, not in a fair fight anyway." "Then what's the point?" Kate asked. "Humans don't fight." "Fair," Alan replied. "We never have. Come with me." They walked through the busy corridors of the Trench. Scientists and military personnel from every nation worked side by side, united by the common threat. Alan led Kate to a secure laboratory where Dr. Lisa Walsh was working. Lisa looked up from a complex holographic display as they entered. Dark circles under her eyes suggested she hadn't slept in days. "Commander Carter," she greeted him. "Is this your new XO?" "Lieutenant Kate Patel," Alan confirmed. "She has questions about our chances against the Council. I thought you might help explain our strategy." Lisa nodded and tapped a few commands on her console. The holographic display changed to show a glowing network of interconnected points of light. "This is the Council's quantum communication network," Lisa explained. "They use it for everything: ship controls, weapons systems, navigation. It's their greatest strength, but also their greatest weakness." "How so?" Kate asked. "It was designed for efficiency, not security," Lisa said. "They've never needed to worry about being hacked because no species they've encountered has had the capability. Until now." She pressed another button, and a section of the network turned red. "We can inject our own code into their network. Not enough to take full control, but enough to cause chaos. Enough to give us a fighting chance. That's why we only need 6 ships," Alan added. "We're not trying to match them ship for ship. We're going to hit them where they're vulnerable." Kate looked between them, understanding dawning on her face. Asymmetric warfare on a galactic scale. "Exactly," Lisa said. "And we have another advantage. The Council species think in patterns, in algorithms. From what we've learned by monitoring their communications, their battle tactics haven't changed. In thousands of years, they've never needed to adapt. Humans adapt every day," Alan said. "It's what we do best." An alarm blared suddenly, cutting their conversation short. Red warning lights flashed throughout the facility. "What's happening?" Kate asked as they rushed toward the command center. "They're here," Alan said grimly. The command center was a flurry of activity when they arrived. A large tactical display showed multiple objects entering the solar system near Neptune. 14 Council vessels detected, reported the sensor officer. Configuration matches their standard patrol fleet. "Earlier than we expected," Lisa muttered. "But not earlier than we prepared for," Alan replied. He turned to address the command center. "This is not a drill. Launch Protocol Alpha. All hands to battle stations." Throughout the Trench, personnel rushed to their assigned posts. Engineers made final adjustments to the ship's systems. Weapons officers loaded specialized countermeasures developed specifically to target Council technology. In the launch bay, Alan addressed the assembled crews of all 6 ships. 500 men and women who carried the hopes of humanity on their shoulders. "Today we face an enemy who believes we are primitive and predictable," he began. "They expect us to cower or to fight according to their rules. We will do neither. Remember your training. Remember what we're fighting for. Every person, On Earth is counting on us even though most don't know we exist. He paused, looking at the determined faces before him. The Council thinks they're coming to pacify a primitive species. Let's show them how wrong they are. 2 hours later, the EDS Defiance and its 5 sister ships emerged from their hidden underwater base. They accelerated quickly, using gravity manipulation, technology reverse-engineered from the alien debris to reach speeds no human vessel had achieved before. On the bridge of the Defiance, Alan sat in the command chair, Kate at his side. Enemy fleet has established orbit around Neptune, the tactical officer reported. They appear to be conducting scans of the system. They're looking for us, Alan said. Let's not keep them waiting. Execute Operation Thunderbolt. 3 of Earth's ships broke formation, heading toward Mars on an obvious approach vector. Meanwhile, the Defiance and the 2 remaining vessels powered down all but essential systems, using Neptune's magnetic field to mask their presence as they maneuvered into position. The Council fleet detected the 3 approaching Earth ships and moved to intercept, exactly as Alan had predicted. They're taking the bait, Kate observed. Their formation is textbook, just like the simulations. The Council has been fighting the same way for millennia, Alan replied. Why change what's always worked before? What happened next shocked even the most optimistic human strategists. As the Council ships moved to engage the decoy force, the Defiance and its 2 companions powered up suddenly and attacked from behind. Their weapons, designed specifically to disrupt Council shield frequencies, tore through the alien defenses. At the same time, Dr. Walsh activated her quantum network intrusion. Throughout the Council fleet, systems began to malfunction. Weapons, targeting went offline. Communications between ships broke down. The Council commander, unprepared for such tactics, attempted to regroup using standard protocols. But humans didn't follow standard protocols. The Earth fleet continued its erratic, unpredictable attack pattern, striking from multiple vectors, never staying in one place long enough to become a target. When the battle ended 30 minutes later, 3 Council ships had been destroyed, 4 were disabled, and the rest had retreated in disarray. On the bridge of the Defiance, the crew could hardly believe their success. We did it, Kate said, amazement in her voice. We actually won. Alan's expression remained serious. We won the first skirmish, Lieutenant. The war has just begun. Across the galaxy, in the Grand Council chamber, news of the defeat spread like wildfire. The councilors had expected reports of a swift pacification. Instead, they received shocking accounts of primitive humans using Council technology against them with devastating effectiveness. For the first time in thousands of years, the Galactic Council faced a species that didn't play by their rules, and they were afraid. News of the human victory spread quickly through the Galactic Council. In the Grand Council chamber, representatives from 37 species argued loudly about what to do next. The massive room, built from crystal and living metals, echoed with angry voices. This is unacceptable, shouted Zex, the representative of the insectoid Zexril. His hard exoskeleton clicked as he moved. Humans must be crushed immediately. We should send the main fleet. Other council members nodded in agreement, but not everyone shared this view. Perhaps we acted hastily, said Soren, an ancient being from the Eldar species. Unlike most council representatives, Soren had studied human history secretly for years. These humans defended themselves against what they perceived as a threat. Is that not what any species would do? They are primitive and dangerous, Zexi insisted. They used our own technology against us. This cannot be tolerated. The council leader, a towering figure named Drell, raised his hand for silence. We will not act in haste. A small delegation will meet with these humans to assess the situation. Meanwhile, we will prepare our forces, should diplomacy fail. Far away in Earth's hidden command center, Lisa Walsh monitored the Council's communications. They're divided, she told Commander Carter and Lieutenant Patel. Some want to attack immediately. Others are curious about us. Can we exploit this division? Alan asked. Maybe, Lisa replied. One council member, an Eldar named Soren, seems particularly interested in humans. He suggested a meeting. It could be a trap, Kate warned. Possibly, Alan agreed. but it's also an opportunity. Lisa, can you arrange secure communication with this Soren? 3 days later, a small unmarked alien ship appeared at the edge of the solar system. It broadcast a simple message on all frequencies. I come alone to talk. No weapons. After extensive scans confirmed the ship carried only one passenger and no weapons, Alan made a bold decision. The Defiance would meet Soren at a neutral location, a small station hastily constructed in orbit around Pluto. As Soren's ship docked with the station, Alan, Kate, and Lisa prepared to meet the alien. Diplomat. They wore standard uniforms, deliberately showing no special preparations or fear. The airlock opened and Soren stepped through. He was tall and thin, with pale blue skin and large, wise eyes. He wore no protective gear, showing trust. Commander Carter, Soren spoke in perfect English. Dr. Walsh, Lieutenant Patel, I thank you for meeting me. How do you know our names? Alan asked, surprised. I have studied your species for many years, Soren replied. Your languages, your history, your cultures, humans fascinate me. In a small conference room, they sat around a simple table. Soren spoke openly about the Council's divisions. Many fear what they do not understand, he explained. Humans progressed faster than any species we have encountered. In just 5 years, you reverse-engineered technology that took other species centuries to develop. We had motivation, Lisa said. You were planning to pacify us. Soren's expression showed sadness. Some council members did propose genetic modification to make humans less aggressive. I oppose this plan. Why? Kate asked. Because diversity is valuable, Soren replied. The council has grown stagnant. We have not faced a real challenge in thousands of years. Perhaps humans are exactly what we need. So what happens now? Alan asked. The Warhawks are gathering a massive fleet, Soren warned. They plan to overwhelm Earth with numbers. But I came to tell you that not all council species support this action. You may have allies if you can prove yourselves worthy. How do we do that? Lisa asked. Survive, Soren said simply. Show that humans can be both fierce and wise. As Soren prepared to leave, he gave them one final warning. The Council has infiltrators on Earth already. They have been sabotaging your defense systems for months. Meanwhile, on Earth, Major Eric Daniels led a team of soldiers through the dark corridors of a supposedly abandoned research facility in Arizona. Intelligence had identified unusual energy signatures coming from the building. Stay sharp, Eric whispered to his team. We don't know what we're dealing with. They moved silently, using night vision goggles to see in the darkness. At the center of the facility, they found what they were looking for: 5 aliens using Earth computers to access defense networks. The firefight was brief, but intense. 4 aliens were killed, but Eric's team managed to capture one alive. Back at the secure facility, the alien prisoner sat in a containment cell. Unlike the tall, blue-skinned Eldar, this creature was short, with green scales and 4 arms. Why are you sabotaging our defenses? Eric asked through a translator. The alien looked up with large, reptilian eyes. Because some of us want you to lose, it replied. But others hope you will win. What do you mean? Eric demanded. The Council has ruled for too long, the alien said. Some species serve only because they fear the Council's power. If humans could challenge that power, the alien's revelation confirmed what Soren had told the Earth leaders. The Galactic Council was not as united as it appeared. But before Earth could take advantage of these potential allies, disaster struck. A massive Council battleship suddenly appeared in orbit around Earth's moon. Without warning, it fired on the secret moon base, destroying it completely. Then it targeted Earth's defense satellites, methodically eliminating them one by one. In the trench, alarms blared as reports of the attack flooded in. How did they get past our early warning systems? Alan demanded. The saboteurs, Lisa realized. They must have disabled our detection grid. The Defiance is still 2 days from Earth, Kate reported. We can't get there in time. On the main screen, they watched helplessly as the Council battleship continued its attack. Conventional Earth. Weapons bounced harmlessly off its shields. "We need options," Alan said grimly. "We can't match them in firepower." Lisa thought for a moment, then her eyes widened. "We don't need to match their power, we need to think differently." She quickly explained her plan. It was dangerous and had only a small chance of success. But as the attack continued, they had no choice. Within hours, Earth launched what appeared to be a desperate counterattack. Small fighters built with conventional technology approached the Council battleship. As expected, they were easily destroyed. But the fighters were only a distraction. The real attack came from a different direction. A small, stealthy craft carrying a specialized computer virus developed by Lisa. While the battleship focused on the fighters, the stealth craft attached to its hull and uploaded the virus directly into its systems. The massive alien ship suddenly went dark, its weapons and engines disabled by code that exploited the same flaw in their quantum network that Lisa had discovered years earlier. Before the Council ship could recover, Earth launched every missile in its arsenal. Without shields, the once invincible battleship was torn apart. The victory came at a heavy cost. The moon base was destroyed along with most of Earth's satellites. But humanity had proven something important. They could adapt and overcome even when facing overwhelming odds. As the debris of the Council battleship burned up in Earth's atmosphere, creating streaks of light across the night sky, Alan Carter made a decision. "We can't win by just defending," he told his officers. "It's time to take this fight to them." The destruction of the Council battleship gave Earth a brief moment to breathe, but everyone knew it wouldn't last long. In Washington, D.C., world leaders gathered to discuss their next move. The meeting room was tense as Commander Alan Carter presented his plan. "Defending Earth isn't enough," Alan explained, pointing to a holographic map of nearby star systems. "We need to take the fight to them, hit their supply lines and communication hubs." "With what?" asked the Chinese president. "We have only 5 ships left after the moon base attack." "Not ships," Alan replied. "Something the Council won't expect." He nodded to Dr. Lisa Walsh, who stepped forward. "We've developed a new kind of weapon," she said. "We call it the Trojan Horse." Lisa brought up images of small, unassuming devices. "These look like standard Council communication relays, but inside they contain our most aggressive computer viruses. Once placed in their network, they'll spread throughout the Council's systems." "How do we deploy them?" asked the American president. "Covertly," Alan answered. "Small teams operating behind enemy lines." The plan was approved, despite its risks. Earth couldn't win in a direct confrontation, so they would fight in ways the Council had never imagined. Meanwhile, Frank Donovan worked in a secure underground facility. Once one of the world's top hackers, he now led Earth's cyber warfare division. His team had been studying Council technology day and night. "Their systems are advanced," Frank told his team as they gathered around his workstation. "But they have a critical weakness. They trust their own technology completely." He brought up schematics of Council ships on his screen. "They've used the same basic operating system for thousands of years. No significant updates or security patches. Why bother when no one has ever hacked them before?" One of his team members, a young programmer named Steve, looked skeptical. "But their tech is still light years beyond ours." Frank smiled. "In some ways, yes. But remember, humans invented computer viruses. The Council has no concept of malicious code. Their systems have no defenses against it." Over the next few weeks, Frank's team created dozens of specialized viruses designed to target Council ships and infrastructure. Some would shut down weapon systems. Others would turn environmental controls against alien crews. The most sophisticated would actually hijack Council weapons and turn them against other Council ships. While Frank's team worked on cyber weapons, Major Eric Daniels prepared his Special Forces unit for the most dangerous missions in human history. They would infiltrate Council facilities and plant the Trojan Horse devices. "This isn't a conventional war," Eric told his soldiers during training. "We can't beat them with brute force. We need to be smarter, faster, and more creative than they are." His team trained relentlessly using simulations based on data gathered from Council ships. They learned to move in different gravity environments and to use Council technology against its creators. The first test of Earth's new strategy came sooner than expected. Council ships were detected approaching Mars, where humans had established a small research outpost. "They're coming in fast," reported the sensor officer aboard the Defiance. 5 Council warships, heavily armed. Commander Carter made a quick decision. "We won't engage directly. Launch Operation Shadow Strike." The Defiance remained hidden behind one of Mars's moons while a small stealth shuttle detached and moved silently toward the Council fleet. On board were Eric Daniels and 4 of his best operatives. "Remember," Eric told his team, "we only need to plant one device on their command ship. The virus will do the rest." Using technology that bent light, around their shuttle they approached the largest Council ship undetected. While the Council forces prepared to attack the Mars outpost, Eric's team attached to the ship's hull near a maintenance hatch. Cutting through the alien metal quietly, they slipped inside. The corridors were designed for beings larger than humans, making it easier to hide. Moving silently, they reached the central computer core. "Planting the device now," whispered Sam, the team's tech specialist, as she attached the Trojan horse to what looked like a data port. "How long until it activates?" Eric asked. 10 minutes, Sam replied. Then chaos. They retreated to their shuttle and detached from the Council ship just as the virus began its work. On the Council vessels, systems started failing one by one. Weapons targeted friendly ships. Life support fluctuated wildly. Communication systems broadcast nonsense. From the Defiance, Commander Carter watched as the Council fleet fell into disarray. "Now," he ordered, "hit them while they're confused." The Defiance emerged from hiding, weapons firing with precision at the now vulnerable Council ships. 2 exploded immediately. A third spun out of control, crashing into a fourth. The command ship, despite its size, was helpless as its systems turned against it. What should have been a simple attack on a human outpost had turned into another humiliating defeat for the Council. The survivors retreated, limping back toward Council space. News of this victory spread quickly. On Council worlds, rumors began to circulate about the unstoppable humans and their mysterious weapons. The Council's response was swift and brutal. They launched biological weapons toward Earth, engineered diseases that would target humans specifically. But Lisa Walsh had anticipated this move. Earth scientists had already created countermeasures. "They think we don't understand their bioweapons," Lisa explained to world leaders. "But we've been studying their biology too." Earth responded by targeting Council agricultural worlds with engineered parasites that affected only their food crops. The parasites wouldn't kill the crops immediately, just reduce yield slowly over time. "We're not trying to starve them," Lisa explained. "Just showing them we can affect their food supply if they continue attacking us." This calculated response shocked the Council. Humans had the ability to cause massive civilian casualties but chose a more measured approach. It was both a show of restraint and a clear warning. The war escalated further when Council warships attacked a civilian evacuation fleet near Mars. Families who had been living on the Red Planet were fleeing back to Earth after the recent attack. Commander Carter received the distress call while the Defiance was still undergoing repairs. "Civilian ships under attack," came the desperate message. "Women and children on board. Please help." "How soon can we reach them?" Alan asked his navigation officer. 4 hours minimum, was the grim reply. "Too late." Alan thought for a moment, then turned to Lisa. "The experimental wormhole generator. Is it operational?" Lisa looked shocked. "Technically, yes, but we've never tested it in combat. The energy requirements are enormous, and we can't control exactly where the exit point will appear. Can we use it to redirect something? Something big?" Lisa realized what he was suggesting. "You want to move an asteroid through a wormhole? That's incredibly risky." "Those are children dying out there," Alan said firmly. "We need to try." The plan came together quickly. The Defiance positioned itself near a suitable asteroid in the belt between Mars and Jupiter. The wormhole generator, A massive device that took up nearly a third of the ship powered up slowly. Energy levels at maximum, reported the engineering officer. Wormhole forming. The fabric of space tore open before them, creating a swirling portal of energy. Using precision thrusters, the Defiance nudged the asteroid toward the wormhole. "We can't control exactly where it will exit," Lisa reminded Alan. "It could miss completely. Or it could hit our own people," Kate added. "We have to try," Alan insisted. The asteroid, nearly half a kilometer wide, entered the wormhole and disappeared. For several agonizing seconds, nothing happened. Then reports came in from the evacuation fleet. "Council flagship has been hit. It's breaking apart." The asteroid had emerged from a second wormhole directly in the path of the Council flagship, striking it at tremendous speed. The massive alien vessel shattered instantly, its destruction causing the other Council ships to break off their attack. The civilian fleet escaped safely, but the Council commanders were shocked by what they had witnessed. Humans had seemingly teleported an asteroid across millions of kilometers with pinpoint accuracy, destroying the most powerful ship in the local fleet. The truth, that it had been a desperate gamble with low odds of success, didn't matter. What mattered was how it appeared to the Council. Humans wielding physics itself as a weapon. The Council forces retreated from the solar system entirely, pulling back to regroup and reconsider their approach. For the first time since the conflict began, Earth's immediate surroundings were free of Council ships, but Commander Carter knew this wasn't the end. "They'll be back," he told his officers, "with more ships and new tactics, but now they fear us, and fear will make them cautious." Across the galaxy, the Galactic Council called an emergency session. The humans had proven more dangerous, more innovative, and more brutal than anyone had imagined. Something had to be done. The Grand Council chamber had never been so crowded. Representatives from all 37 species packed the massive space, their voices creating a constant hum of tension and debate. At the center of the chamber, the Council leader Drell called for order. "We face an unprecedented situation," Drell announced, his voice echoing through the hall. "For the first time in 50,000 years, a developing species has successfully resisted Council authority." Zex, the insectoid representative, rose from his seat. "They are savages. They use forbidden tactics, weapons that violate all conventions of civilized warfare, like redirecting an asteroid." Soren, the Eldar representative, asked calmly. "Or perhaps you refer to their computer viruses? Tell me, Zex, is it savage to use intelligence instead of brute force?" "They target our food supplies," another representative shouted. "Yet they designed parasites that only reduce yields, not destroy crops entirely," Soren pointed out. "They could have engineered organisms to wipe out our food completely. They showed restraint." The debate continued for days. Some Council members demanded a full-scale invasion of Earth with overwhelming force. Others suggested a diplomatic solution. The Council was divided nearly evenly on how to proceed. Finally, Soren proposed a radical idea. "Let us offer Earth membership in the Council." The chamber erupted in outrage. "Grant primitive humans equal status with advanced species? Impossible." "Consider the alternative," Soren said when the noise subsided. "We continue this war, losing more ships, more resources, more lives, and for what? To subdue a species that has shown remarkable ingenuity and adaptability. Would it not be better to have such qualities as allies rather than enemies?" On Earth, Lisa Walsh monitored the Council's debates through their own communication network. She briefed world leaders and military commanders on the developments. "They're seriously considering offering us membership," she explained, her voice revealing her surprise. "Led by the Eldar representative Soren." "Can we trust them?" the American president asked. Commander Carter, who had met Soren personally, nodded. "I believe Soren is sincere, but not all Council members share his view." "If they offer membership," Lisa said, "we should accept, but with conditions: full sovereignty, military autonomy, and reparations for the damage they've caused." Major E. Eric Daniels, freshly returned from another covert operation, spoke up. "We should also demand the removal of all Council spies and infiltrators from Earth." The discussion was interrupted when a message came through on all communication channels worldwide. The Galactic Council requested a formal meeting with Earth's leaders. 3 days later, in the rebuilt United Nations headquarters in Geneva, representatives from Earth met with a council delegation. Soren led the alien group, which included members from 5 different species. Lisa Walsh, now serving as Earth's chief negotiator, greeted them formally. Commander Carter and his officers stood nearby, along with Major Daniels and his Special Forces team. World leaders filled the rest of the human side of the room. "We come to offer peace," Soren began, "and membership in the Galactic Council." "Why this sudden change of heart?" Lisa asked. "Not long ago you were planning to pacify us." "We have reassessed our understanding of humans," Soren replied. "Your species has shown qualities that we value: adaptability, ingenuity, and perhaps, most surprisingly, restraint and victory." Lisa presented Earth's conditions for accepting membership. As she spoke, some of the council representatives looked uncomfortable, particularly when she mentioned military autonomy. "These terms are unusual," Soren admitted when she finished. "No new member has ever retained independent military forces. No new member has ever fought off a council fleet," Commander Carter pointed out. After private discussions among themselves, the council representatives agreed to Earth's terms. The treaty was drafted on the spot, with both human and alien languages, side by side. "There is one more matter," Soren said as the document was prepared. "The council requires a permanent representative from Earth, someone who understands both humans and the wider galaxy." All eyes turned to Lisa Walsh. Her deep knowledge of council technology and culture made her the obvious choice. "I would be honored," Lisa said after a moment's thought. 1 month later, Lisa Walsh stood before the full Galactic Council, the first human to address the ancient body. The massive chamber was silent as she approached the speaker's platform. She wore a simple blue uniform with Earth's new emblem, a globe surrounded by stars. Behind her stood Commander Carter, Lieutenant Patel, Major Daniels, and Frank Donovan, representing Earth's defense forces. "Honored representatives of the Galactic Council," Lisa began, her voice steady and clear. "Earth accepts membership in your ancient institution with both gratitude and caution. We come in peace, but we are prepared for war. The choice has always been yours." She paused, looking directly at the council leader. "Humans may be new to the galactic community, but we bring fresh perspectives and new ideas. We have much to learn from you, but perhaps you also have something to learn from us." As Lisa took her seat among the most powerful beings in the galaxy, a new era began. Earth would no longer be isolated, but connected to thousands of worlds and civilizations across the stars. In the months that followed, human innovations began to spread throughout council space. Earth's computer security methods were adopted by many species. Human art and culture became subjects of fascination. Earth's scientists collaborated with alien researchers, combining their knowledge in ways neither had imagined before. The brutal response that had shocked the Galactic Council had led not to Earth's destruction, but to a new and unexpected partnership. Humans had earned their place among the stars not just through force, but through their unique combination of determination, creativity, and principle. 1 year after Earth joined the Council, Soren visited Lisa in her new office in the Council Tower. "You have changed us," the ancient Eldar said. "For the first time in millennia, the Council is evolving, adapting. Many find it uncomfortable." "Change often is," Lisa replied, "but it's necessary for growth." "Indeed," Soren agreed. "That is what humans have taught us, the value of change, of challenging old ways of thinking." He looked out the window at the spectacular view of the Council homeworld, its cities gleaming in the light of 2 suns. "The Council feared Earth's brutal response to our first contact," Soren said thoughtfully. "But what shocked us most wasn't your capacity for warfare. It was your ability to show mercy when victory was within your grasp. That is what convinced many of us that humans belong here." Lisa smiled. "We've always been a complicated species." "The most interesting ones always are," Soren replied. As night fell over the Council world, ships from dozens of species passed, overhead including several of Earth design. Humans had taken their place among the stars, not as conquered subjects but as equals. Their journey had just begun.